Labas and greetings from the beautiful city of Vilnius in Lithuania. Now, up here we have one of my charts that I put up that are color coded, and as you see, the color changes as you go from west to east in Europe across the continent. Maybe not as starkly as some of the other videos that I've done recently in this series. On this one, we're going to discuss capital gains taxes and how the rates differ across this continent. And if you're new here, my name is Connor Klein, and I help high-level men, normally from North America, Latin America, and Western Europe, with relocation for at least part of the year here to this broader region that I dub New Europe, or the countries that I recommend within it as emerging Europe. And that should give you an indication of what is happening in this region in general with a name like emerging Europe. So with that said, let's get into the video and go look at capital gains tax rates across Europe.
Experience.
So this is going to be a primer video about capital gains taxes. It is not professional tax advice. This is just an overview. You need to go to a professional tax consultant to run you through all the different permutations when you are dealing with presumably complex tax cases. So this is the third video in a series. I also did videos on personal income taxes across the continent, also dividends, taxes. So I'll link those up above on cards down below in the video description. Also go and check those out for your own educational purposes. So what is a capital gains tax? It is a tax that is realized when you sell or dispose of something, an asset that has increased in value. So basically you made a good investment, and then when you go to sell that and get the rewards of that good investment, you may have to pay capital gains taxes depending on the country that you're a tax resident or where the asset is. So these things are quite complicated and complex. So if we pull up the map, you're going to see pretty similar to the other two videos. However, not as stark the color coding differences between Western Europe and what I refer to as Old Europe. So we'll also throw in Scandinavia there, and New Europe. So the countries that are between Germany, so to the east of Germany and the west of Russia. Those countries were under communism and the influence of the Soviet Union. Either they were directly annexed, like the three Baltic states, or they had pro-Soviet, pro-communist governments for much of the second half of the 20th century. So Poland is a good example there, also Czechia and Slovakia. So looking at the different tax rates, we will look at the map and just pick a few that are pretty illustrative of the trend. Iceland at 22%, United Kingdom at 20%, Ireland at 33%, France at 34%, Spain at 28%. We go into Scandinavia, Sweden's 30%, Norway's 37.8%, Denmark is 42%, Germany, the economic motor of Europe, is 26.4%, Austria at 27.5%, Italy at 26%. There are a few outliers there. You can see Belgium and Switzerland don't actually have any capital gains taxes. However, when you go into the New Europe part of the continent, you see the three Baltic states at 20%. So that's Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. Poland at 19%. So obviously there is a difference. They are lower in general. You can also see Ukraine at 19.5%. Moldova is just 6%. Romania is 10%. Bulgaria is 10%. And well, actually Greece is 15%. As well. You see Turkey and Georgia on the map don't have any. So again, this is illustrative of the general trend, that is that taxes overall tend to be lower in the New Europe part of the continent. These are countries, as I said, that were under communism, and they have been re-emerging as economies over the last, say, 35 years since they regained their, well, either de jure or de facto independence from Moscow, and those economies have been rapidly developing. However, unlike in the western part of the continent or the more developed part of the continent of Europe, they are not as big fans of having higher taxes or a social welfare state overall. So that is what you see. However, it should also be noted that infrastructure is also catching up in this part of the continent as the economies develop. Poland, for example, is estimated that it will overtake the United Kingdom in the next decade economically, and that is a reasonably big economy. The Polish economy population is almost 40 million people, and it is considered the powerhouse of this part of the continent at the moment. Of course, we're extrapolating there. Maybe something will happen and it won't overtake the United Kingdom. Maybe the UK will rebound in the next 10 years, and maybe Poland won't develop as quickly, but they have been going very, very strong in the last 3 decades. And as you see, they have lower taxes on average than you can see in the more developed part of the continent of Europe. So what does that mean for you? It could mean that by setting up your lifestyle, spend more time in this part of Europe, you may also be able to legally lower the amount of taxes that you would have to pay. And of course, with that money, you can reinvest into your business, into your lifestyle, and so on. So that is just a short overview showing you the capital gains taxes across the continent. Again, the trend is pretty clear that they are lower in this part of Europe than in the part of Europe further to the north and to the west. Enjoy potentially coming to this part of Europe.
SAR Experience.
So now that you've had your primer on capital gains taxes across Europe, you should go and check out some of the other videos in this series that I've been doing, showing you the differences in the tax rates across the continent. Quite simple videos. I'm going to put them up on cards now, the last few, and also down below in the description to this video. And as you can see, it's quite picturesque here this evening in Vilnius in Lithuania. And this is a region, a broader region, as I referenced earlier, New Europe as I dub it. And within it, I promote the countries as emerging Europe, so it's like a subset. But basically, it's the region between Russia and Germany broadly. And I recommend countries for relocation for at least 3 months per year. It doesn't have to be the whole year. Although many of my clients, that's what they do. They get residency and then they decide to set up shop. Maybe it could be Vilnius in Lithuania, maybe up the road in Riga in Latvia, which also is quite attractive for Americans and Brits, for example, because with a real estate investment, as well at the time I'm speaking of at least, of a minimum of 250,000 euros, then you can apply for a residency. So that is something that's quite attractive if you don't have EU citizenship, for example. And more broadly, I'm helping guys with going to countries like Moldova, Ukraine, in spite of the Russo-Ukrainian war, Poland, here are the 3 Baltic states, also Kazakhstan. Also, I recommend Czechia and its capital, Prague. And if you're interested in more information, because maybe you're new here for your own education purposes, then I'm going to put up a few playlists right now that you can go and look at. First of all, it's going to be my city vlogs, where I bring my clients to live my premium introductory package to a city. Can be here obviously in Vilnius or one of the other cities. I have several city vlogs to give you a bit more of the flavor of coming and living the insider experience of me, Connor Klein, because I am known by my clients as the insider for this region. Second of all, I'm going to put up a playlist for the single guys, which is the bulk of my audience. And it's like a set of tutorials for dating the uber beautiful, sophisticated, educated women of this region. So go check that out. The 9s and 10s, uber beautiful. And thirdly, I have my Vodka series, which is long form content. It's well over 50 hours. You should actually tot up how many hours of content are there at this stage. I've been saying 50 hours for a while. So definitely don't sit down and try and watch it all in one go. Scroll through that and pick out the episodes that appeal to you and your interests, and then you can dive into the mentality, deeper into the mentality of people of this region, how their countries and societies function. And said, anything else I want to say to you on this beautiful evening? If you do come here to this region and you want to know where to go, hang out, I have an abridged version of my hospitality guide for the region in a free PDF down below in the description to this video. Just go there and click on it, and then I'll whisk it off to you. So that said, you can see a few tourists arriving to film here during golden hour in Vilnius, capital of Lithuania. Beautiful, tranquil, peaceful place. I mean, that's one of the things that this region has, I think, definitely in spades over most of Western Europe. It is more peaceful, definitely safer in general. So there's a better feeling of security as you walk around, even at night, in the city centers here in cities like Vilnius or Kaunas, or if you go up further to Riga in Latvia. Of course, this is a region that is emerging, so prospects for growth in the medium to long term are greater than the more stagnant, more developed economies that are further to the west, because it's a lot harder for them to grow rapidly than here, because their economies, you know, they went through a tough restructuring phase in the 90s and say 2000s, and now they are blossoming. So on that pretty poetic conclusion, I will bid you ciao ciao from Vilnius in Lithuania.
SAR Experience.